that kind of stuff?
I don't know Mr. Crowley, so I'm not going to speak.
He knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay.
So, but this 0.2 percentage point difference is about 100 more students had alternative placements between the 2 years.
So the point here, the reason you're tracking disciplinary issues and watching that trend is part of the gap in education. If they're having trouble, disciplinary problems in schools, the chances of finishing high school and graduating is much less. So it's an important indicator to watch.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So this next slide is one of the most complex slides, bit of information that we have. So the origins of this slide is that we believe that if you do poorly in reading in elementary school, you're not probably going to be successful in middle school. So what we did was we looked at students. We said, well, which students did not pass their 4th and 5th grade reading tasks? Okay. And then we followed those students to see, well, how did they do in 8th grade? And there's 4 tasks that you need to pass in 8th grade. And this is what we found. We found that for those who had passed neither of those reading tests, 30% either didn't make it to 8th grade on time in the first place, they passed no tasks, or they passed only one. We found about a quarter of them did pass all 8th grade tasks, which I found rather intriguing. I was surprised it was even a quarter.
Isn't the point here, Carol, that obviously being ready to read or showing up in kindergarten ready, reading skills, the earlier the better in terms of this kind of outcome for the 4th, 5th grade, and then going on to the 8th grade, right?
That's what this data suggests. And actually, E3 Alliance is undertaking a study of 5th graders from 2002 to 2003 and following them up through their high school years to see whether it is this or attendance or discipline or what the combination of factors would be.
Isn't this also, in terms of the role of parents in dealing with kids on the school readiness issue, the quicker reading skills are addressed at home, etc., this is very positive in terms of this kind of outcome, right?
That's what we think. Let me go ahead and show what happens when we have when they're in 4th and 5th grade. If they pass both of those reading tests, let's see what the changes. In that first group, what percentage do you think it would be for those who passed both?
Both of them. I'm going to say that 5%.
1.5%. And 90% of these kiddos passed all 4 tax tests. Yeah. So we think that there's something there. Right. Okay. Now, for those of you that numbers are not quite your thing, you're much more of a visual person, we made little stick figures.
That's my chart.
But you can see that 90% translates to a lot more of 8th graders that have passed all 4 of their 8th grade tasks, which is really what we want to see.
And Carol, comment on the importance of the 8th grade in terms of a predictor of finishing high school and going on to college. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? 8th grade.
Yes, actually there's been long-time studies showing that in doing an 8th grade math will predict not just for high school but through college. And then there's many other stories that now have followed it, that 8th grade is kind of the year to decide whether kids are going to really be able to do well in high school. And so that's, again, why the blueprints, it talks about eliminating the achievement gap, but in terms of that Goal 2 team, they really focus on middle school, getting that done through middle school.
You hear a lot about the parents sort of, the kids get kind of forgotten in middle school. I know when Susan and I went up and met with the Meadows Foundation up in Dallas, one of their key concerns in that school district was the middle school problem, and that's on that chart, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we're going to go ahead and look at 8th grade passing rates for TAKS, and this is how they've done over the past 2 years. We see that in reading, things look great. Everything's above 90% and rising. Also math, it's taken a nice big leap. We think that's because of the Success Initiative that's in place now, that you have to pass 8th grade TAKS in order to math TAKS in order to go on to high school. And now we see that science, that took a little increase. We're very concerned that it's still mired in the only 70% passing rate.
So science remains very low, and my understanding is that's true all over Texas, not just here.
It does seem to be, yes, across Texas as well. But still, that doesn't mean that we should just say that's okay. We're still working a lot on that.
Let me say from the business community, again with my Chamber of Commerce hat, in terms of the jobs we need in Central Texas, Obviously, the science and math courses are kind of the jobs of the future for some of the population that needs the most attention, right?
That's right. And actually, there is an effort, a regional effort. It even has a snappy acronym. We're going to hear more about it from Jesus Chavez from Round Rock ISD about what we're doing as a regional collaborative to try to address math and science and reading in the middle school grades. You know, I want to go and, because the big story behind this actually is not so much these rates right here, but the achievement gaps, okay? We see that in reading, the achievement gap doesn't really look like much of a gap. Naturally, I'd like everybody to be at 100%, but it's looking pretty good. But look at the math and science. We're looking at over 20 and 30 percentage points differences.
And that's our future workforce right there that needs the attention.
That's right. Yeah. So we're well aware of that. Okay, we're on to the goal 3 indicators. How's everybody doing? Can I hear kind of a little shout out that everybody's still awake? Yes? Hello? Okay, good. Thank you.
Engineers, raise your hand again. I want to see where you are. Okay. All right.
We'll meet later, the engineers. Okay, so, we're now going to look at getting kiddos out of high school, college, and career ready. First, we're going to look at what we call, again, the leading indicators. We're looking at what happens in ninth grade. The first set of numbers on the left is the percentage of students who repeat ninth grade. And we can see it's about 10%. Really has not changed over the last 2 years. And then for the second set of numbers, this is very good. This is the percentage of ninth graders who are taking 10th grade coursework. And this is actually on the increase.
Carol, what I hear a lot about, though, what the emphasis needs to be is trying to get more kids not to retake the ninth grade, but rather take advanced courses in high school or get college credits. Isn't that where we need to head, much less retake the ninth grade?
That's exactly right. And also we have work done by the Ray Marshall Center that says that if a student has taken a college credit course in high school, she is much more likely to go straight on to college after that. So we definitely want to get that going. By the way, this data is through THECB, their P16 Council data. It's been very helpful to us. Thanks to everybody who's worked on that.
Carol, what are we doing with, again, identifying the student who's required to retake the ninth grade? What sort of intervention efforts go on there to fix that problem? Well,
there's a lot of talk about these days about early warning systems and figuring out like what would be the kind of the factors that would lead us to believe that kiddo's not going to get through ninth grade on time. Still, exactly what those are, they're still pinning those down. I think our research, like I said, with those fifth graders going on to high school, we're going to find out a lot more. But it could be attendance, discipline, academics, a whole host of things.
But I don't need more data to tell me that a kid who's retaking the ninth grade, the chances of his being college ready or even going on to college is not good.
That's right. If you look very carefully, one little tidbit, this is the first time ninth graders. The rate for second time, third time ninth graders much higher, that they just keep on repeating.
Oh, don't go there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. Especially. Okay. So